Alrighty everyone, welcome back. Once again, I am Uncle Slam, and this is ElecHead. This is a charming little 2D puzzle platformer from 2021, and it is available on Switch and PC for pretty cheap. I think I got it for $10. So I'm going to go ahead and reset this file, and we'll just hop into it. So after I skip this cutscene, once Elec lands, that will be the start of the timer, and we'll start in a couple seconds here. Go. All right. So the whole shtick behind ElecHead is that Elec here is constantly pouring out electricity from his head, and you'll see whatever he touches becomes charged, and that will be indicated by the yellow coloring. And that can be used to activate platforms like that. You can also activate lasers. That's how you activate checkpoints as well. All sorts of things. So you'll see lasers like that also get activated. Obviously, you know, stuff like that we want to avoid touching. Otherwise, Elec will die and respawn at the last checkpoint. But yeah, that's effectively, it's a pretty simple mechanic, but it works very well in this game. And you might be wondering, hey, so the category is alternate end. What differs that from any percent or any of the other categories? Well, there's these golden key cards, like the one I just collected, that you need to collect 20 of in order to unlock the alternate end of the game. And the alternate end takes about, 16 minutes, give or take, compared to any percent, which is only, like, I think it's about 2.5 minutes. More or less, so it's a bit more involved than the any percent route, and 100% has a little more to it, but I think alternate end is a very good in-between. If you're going to run this game, it's one of the easier categories to learn while also having a good amount of substance to it. So you'll see instances where when I collect a golden key card where I won't collect it immediately. Those kind of act like one-up mushrooms in Super Mario 64 or strawberries in Celeste, where they actually need to reach Elec for you to officially collect it. So sometimes I'll go out of my way just to make sure I can do that. So one thing I am going to do here is I'm going to hit that checkpoint, collect 2 golden key cards, so I've got this one right here, and then there's one in the room to the left, and as soon as I collect this one, I'm going to kill Elec manually and do a checkpoint abuse in order to get back a little bit faster than I would be able to if I just walked the whole way. So right there is some precise movement to get that platform down as quickly as possible. And coming up in this next room, we're going to see our first Warp Zone. This is going to be Warp Zone 2. In this category, we don't see Warp Zone 1 at all, so we don't really need to worry about it. And you'll see me when we come to later Warp Zones. I'm going to avoid activating them intentionally, because that saves a little bit of time menuing later. It's only like a handful of frames here and there, but every frame counts. So coming up into this room, this is a pretty reset-heavy room when you're going for PB attempts. Mostly because we'll see in a minute here after I collect this golden key card. You can see the interface kind of blocks your view of Elec, so it's very possible for that exact situation to happen where it's like you try to activate the platform below you, but you're just a little bit late and you hit the spikes below, but that's not a huge deal. So right there I'm going to activate that checkpoint for a checkpoint abuse I'm going to do later. And if I do this right, I'm going to do a blind jump, a blind head throw, and a blind turnaround in order to save a couple of seconds. So I'm going to collect that. And that was the ability to... Okay, so I messed up the strat there, but that's fine. Now that I have sight, this should be a little easier to hit. So that item I activated earlier actually gave Elec the ability to throw his head. And that's useful for most of the rest of the puzzles in this game. So right there, to get across the lasers, just throw his head, and it will deactivate the lasers while his body can go across scot-free. And in this next room, we're going to go for a skip. So normally you're meant to throw his head into the upper left corner of the room, but if you time this right, you can keep his head suspended in midair while you're going across the lasers. And as long as his head, which is the thing that's pouring out the electricity, not his body, as long as his head remains airborne, it will never activate the lasers below Elec, so you can just casually stroll beneath them. And there are a bunch of strats like that, which will save, a couple seconds here and there that are just so useful to make use of in the speedrun. This room, you want to avoid activating certain chains because they will activate lasers below, but alternatively, if you don't want to remember which lasers or which chains will activate the lasers, you can also just keep his head in midair and activate none of them. And this room right here is Warp Zone number 3, but again, like I said before, we want to avoid touching that because if you activate it, it will add a little bit of time menuing later. So right here we're going to get a cheeky little throw up, kind of bob and weave that head through that little gap. And this room has a little bit of tricky movement when you're first learning this game, but with enough practice it becomes pretty easy to nail. Then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, that should be enough. So I'm going to land on that platform on its way back, and I'm going to line myself up with the right wall here to set up for a skip in this room. So normally you're meant to go around that room clockwise, but if you throw the head across that gap before the platform has a chance to rise again, you'll skip that entire puzzle and save like 6 seconds, I think it is. So after you collect this key right here, you'll open a door on the left side of the room, and if you hit any of these checkpoints below you and activate them, you actually reset the puzzle of the room you're in. So if I hit any single one of those, I would actually have to go back, get the key, and retrace my steps to go through that room, which, as you could imagine, would waste a bit of time in the speedrun. And this room is a good example of the time limit you have when you separate ElecHead from his body. So you kind of saw that there was a time limit that started at 10 as soon as I threw ElecHead. If Elec and his head are separated for more than 10 seconds and the timer reaches 0, Elec's body will run out of power and he will die and get sent back to the last checkpoint you hit. And normally we don't really need to worry about that timer running out, but there are 2 sections at the end where we'll cut it very close, just to save a little bit of time. So that can get a little dicey. Now we actually have about a minute or so for any donations, if there are any to speak of.
I do not have any more at this moment, but I can say that our charity, No Kid Hungry, is a charity dedicated to providing meals.
I think you cut off there.
Uh-oh, I'm sorry.
You're good.
Like I was saying, No Kid Hungry is a charity dedicated to providing meals for children in need, as well as supporting food banks and community groups that serve the areas that need it most. They provide emergency grants and expert guidance to schools and local community groups to help feed kids.
Yeah, it's a really good charity, guys. If you guys have any money to spare and you want to donate, please do. I know that there are some incentives coming up. I don't know what ones are left, but if you if there are any of those that still need to be met, feel free to plug those.
Well, we have something.
I think you got cut off again.
I think it's because I keep changing tabs on my browser when.
You know what? That could do it. Yeah, I guess I can talk about this section now. So this is section 4 of the game, and that introduces these cannons, which will periodically shoot balls of electricity. So anytime you activate one, it will every second or so shoot out a new ball of electricity. And if those touch Elec, he will die and get sent back to the last checkpoint you hit. Again, we want to avoid that as much as possible, since it doesn't really help us in the speedrun. But yeah, if you know which cannons to worry about, this is actually a pretty chill section, despite the fact that you have all those obstacles to worry about. So right here, you can just barely get Elec's head through that gap between all those cannon shots. And right here you can throw Elec's head off screen to activate those cannons to get a bit of a faster cycle than you otherwise would if you walked the whole way. So I'm going to collect this golden key card. And there is in this next room a strat you can go for that saves about 2 seconds, but it is very difficult, and I am not very good at it, so you would really only go for that if you're going for the world record anyway, because again, it is very, very difficult. Shouts to the world record holder Igorimi for finding it. He is an absolute god at this game and has a world record in every single category. He's also found a lot of the strategies I'm showing off today. So like those little head throws I'm doing in that little hallway, that actually does save a fraction of a second every time I do it. So I'm actually going to go for another skip here. So after I collect this golden keycard, I'm going to throw ElecHead as soon as we get back to the checkpoint. And I want to follow as closely behind this wall of the balls of electricity as I can. And what you're meant to do is, in this room, there are lasers on the ceiling. You're meant to activate to destroy the balls of electricity following Elec. But if you time it just right, you can get into this gap right before they hit him. And that saves, I think, half a second at most if you get it right. And you lose upwards of 15 seconds if you fail that strat. But I'm pretty consistent at it, so that's why I'm comfortable going forward in a marathon setting. So right here, we're actually going to activate our first warp zone since warp zone number 2. And that is warp zone number 5, and we need to activate that one to actually get the alternate end anyway, so it's not really a time loss. But before we actually make use of it, we're going to play some slots here. Oh, I'm going to reset that. Yeah, the pattern you get here is consistent. Whoop. So if you know when to hit those, it's actually not too difficult to nail. So coming up here, we have a minigame that lasts 30 seconds, and in that time, you need to collect at least 30 different keys while some awesome music plays. So the pattern you get here on all of the keys and where they spawn is completely random. So sometimes you can just get a really bad pattern and have to replay this minigame just because you got shafted. Looks like I'm getting pretty good RNG here, totally, though. Like, at this point in the song, you want to have at least 20, and I have about 4 more than that. But I actually might be able to get 35 here. There is an achievement in this game on Steam for getting 35 keys in the time limit here, and I actually beat that by 2, so that's pretty dang awesome. So after I come back to warp zone number 5, this section deals a lot with moving platforms. So a lot of the time you'll see me throw ElecHead, separate it from his body, all to activate a platform that he needs to ride across a section. So it's a pretty straightforward theme here. Right here I'm going to go for a head throw that will land ElecHead just on the corner of that platform. That can look a little bit scary to people who have not seen this game before. And right here I'm going to go for, I'm going to try that again actually. I'm going to go for a precise head throw and a precisely timed jump in order to go through that gap in the middle there. Otherwise you have to go counterclockwise through that room, and that takes about 5 to 6 seconds longer. Again, shoutouts to Agremi for finding that strat. It was a very nice help for getting the first sub 16 minute time in this game. So, I think there's something coming up here. I could be wrong. But yeah, this is a pretty chill section in general. If our wonderful host has the mic issues figured out,
I certainly hope that I have.
fingers crossed.
We have had a donation come in for Mr. Mine with 3 E's. $25 donation, no message, but thank you so very much. I'd also like to mention those incentives that I was trying to get to before. We have a debug mode demo for a game called ElecHead. Maybe you've heard of it. Right now it has 0 out of $25 to meet that incentive. And the only other incentive that we haven't met yet is the Majora's Mask bonus run credits warp. For tomorrow afternoon, it's currently at 15 out of $40.
Yeah, Majora's Mask incentives and marathons are always pretty awesome, so definitely consider donating to that if you would like. Yeah, so if we do get that debug mode incentive met by the time this run is over, the world record holder Agremi did actually find that earlier this year. It has a couple of cool tricks. There's a mode called Rocket Head, which is not a feature that's used in this game. I think it might have been used in the demo, but never got implemented to the full game. as well as a couple of other fun little bells and whistles. Yeah, so I mentioned earlier in the run that there would be 2 sections where we cut it really, really close on the time limit on ElecHead. So after I solve this puzzle here, after I activate this checkpoint when the timer hits 6, we will see one of those rooms. Okay, so right here, I'm going to throw ElecHead onto that center platform. You're meant to throw that from the right side, but if you throw it from the left, you have barely enough time to grab the key, turn around, and grab ElecHead right before the time limit expires. So you saw that the time limit was at 1 there. I didn't need to cut it that close, like that really throwing it from the left side only saves a couple of frames, but I'm well practiced enough with it that I'm not too worried about trying to go for that strat. So right here, that is Warp Zone 6, so we're going to skip that. However, 2 rooms later, we have Warp Zone ? And we do need to activate that one for the alternate end. So I'm going to jump up here, grab this yellow keycard, warp back, and I'm not going to collect that one immediately, but I will come over here to collect the other one in this section. And like before, I'm going to have just enough time to collect it, warp back to Warp Zone ? And then collect both of these in one fell swoop. And this is the room where we find out if we collected all 20 golden keycards successfully. If you see 19 there, it's always the most heartbreaking thing ever, because that means the run is basically dead. Because if you miss one somewhere, if you skipped the warp zones, normally they would tell you if you missed any golden keycards in that section, but because we skip 3 of the warp zones entirely, you don't always get that luxury, so it's hard to warp back and actually figure out which one you missed. But from here, it's basically just a straight shot to the end, so... I do just want to point out again that this game is only like $10 on both Steam and the Nintendo Switch eShop, so if you like 2D puzzle platformers, this game is definitely worth your while. It's this is a one-man project game, and the love that he put into it like really shines through like every corner of this game. So right here, that is time. So it takes a second to get going here, but yeah, once this cutscene activates, we see that we were actually playing this game on the moon the entire time, and for the alternate end, we kind of, sort of blow up the Earth, as you do in video games. But yeah, that was ElecHead. Like I said before, this was a one-man project by the one and only Nama Takahashi. And you'll see his name in the credits here very quickly here. But yeah, again, we do have a community Discord for this. If you go to speedrun.com/ElecHead, that should show you a link to the Discord. If you do want to speedrun this game, or if you just have any general questions about it, it's a good place to go. Really, really welcoming community, in my experience. And yeah, that's about all I had for ElecHead, unless the incentive got met to show the debug mode.
Now, sadly, I have not had a donation come in mentioning the debug mode.
All right, unfortunate, but it is what it is. More importantly, though, now that this one's out of the way, you guys definitely want to stick around for the run afterwards, which I will also be doing. And it is a lovely game called Give Me Toilet Paper. So that should be starting in a couple of minutes here, and I will see you guys then. So stay tuned.